In 1954, the U.S. Supreme Court declared public school segregation unconstitutional in the Brown v. Board of Education court case.
School officials created a system in which African Americans who wanted to go to an all-white school were put through several different interviews to see if they were suited for admission.
Out of 80 African Americans that were interviewed, only 9 were chosen. Minnie Jean Brown, Terrence Roberts, Elizabeth Eckford, Ernest Green, Thelma Mothershed, Melba Patello Beals, Gloria Ray Carlmark, Jefferson Thomas, and Carlotta Walls Laner.
The 9 students' first day of Central High School was on September 3, 1957. They were greeted by a mob of angry white parents, students, and citizens. The governor of Arkansas, Orville M. Fabos, ordered the National Guard to keep them from entering the school.
I do not mean and have had no intention of challenging the federal union, but the maintenance of the peace and order of a community is paramount to other considerations. And I found it necessary, in order to preserve the peace and order of the community and to protect the lives even of the Negro students and the Negro people, to take the action which I did.
President Eisenhower arranged to meet Governor Fabos in Newport, Rhode Island, to discuss the situation.
President Eisenhower told Governor Fabos that the National Guard could stay to protect the 9, but once he was back in Little Rock, he withdrew that order.
After Fabos' action, a team of NAACP lawyers won a federal district court injunction to prevent Fabos from further blocking the students from entering the school.
With help of police, the 9 students successfully made it into the school on September 23, 1957, but were soon after rushed home fearing more mob violence.
Dr. King sent President Eisenhower a telegram telling him to take a strong, forthright stand in the Little Rock situation.
Eisenhower then ordered troops from the Army's 101st Airborne Division to protect the students.
Was concerned that there was going to be violence in Little Rock and that he was considering preventing us from going to Central. It wasn't until the day that school was to open that he called in the Arkansas National Guard and used them to bar our entrance. And at that point, you then had this huge constitutional crisis that the state of Arkansas was going to defy the federal government's order. Of news cameras and photographers and reporters, and then the Arkansas National Guard with rifles and bayonets. And as we attempt to cross the line of soldiers, they physically cross their rifles. They allow the white students to enter and bar us physically from entering Central High School.
Under federal protection, the Little Rock 9 finished out the school year. The following year, Fabos closed all of the high schools, forcing the African American students to take correspondence courses or go to out-of-state schools.
The school board reopened the schools in the fall of 1959, and despite more violence, 4 of the 9 students returned, this time protected by local police.
But I felt that, in speaking from the house of Lincoln, of Jackson, and of Wilson, my words would better convey both the sadness I feel in the action I was compelled today to make, and the firmness with which I intend to pursue this course until the orders of the federal court at Little Rock can be executed without unlawful interference.
The way the Little Rock school crisis impacted history was by taking a stand in racial segregation for all races. They took a stand by overcoming opposition by fighting for their education.
On the first day of school, Elizabeth Eckford was more worried about what she would wear than the way she would be treated. She saw on her television that the governor had announced that he had called out the Arkansas National Guard. She thought he did this to protect all of the students.
Elizabeth Eckford did not have a telephone, so she was not contacted to let her know that Daisy Bates, a member of the NAACP, had arranged for some ministers to accompany the students in a group, so she then arrived to school alone.
This is Central High School, Little Rock, Arkansas. Troops, which for nearly 3 weeks lined the sidewalk here in front of the high school, under orders to keep the colored students out, have been replaced now. And their orders to comply with the law, which means let the Negro students in if they come in.